their suppression, and we were co-warriors against suppression. Then, when the British created one line here and one line here, we said we don't believe in these lines. We don't follow lines. We follow love and traditions and culture and art.
So you're the good Sikh, he's the bad Sikh.
No, he's the learner.
Real fake.
We're both Sikhs, we're both
Lion and a
learning,
pigeon.
but I'm a bit older and I've spent time with all cultures. I've grown up with all the different people of London. I've travelled around the world, and luckily, despite the English, wait, despite the English history I was taught in school, I went to a Christian school and I was taught the Lord's Prayer. Listen to this, all you lot.
You've had to
The
hate you for
Lord's
months.
Prayer, and I was brought up and I knew more about Christianity than my old culture. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? I lived in a dominantly white area and I learned more about Christianity because there were evangelical preachers and all these different types of Christian preachers, and I knew so much. And I even ended up going to Jerusalem, but that's a whole nother talk. I have to share that with you, yeah?
So you become
But anyway,
Westernized.
it's only when I went to university and I was researching real history, because it's university and you've got all these libraries, I found out that all the history I was taught was a lie. And you know the cowboys and the Indians, the cowboys were the baddies.
But he believed them.
And the Indians were the goodies. The
But he believed
African
them.
Zulu warriors were the goodies. And the British Army and the Rothschild
Because he's
Army
there
were the baddies.
24/7 in every channel.
All the history I've
Talking.
been taught was the wrong way round.
I'm watching.
And the shame and
I'm
warriors
viewer.
of this
I'm
world,
just a viewer,
who
man.
lived
I'm just
for
a viewer.
million years,
I'm just a viewer,
they
blood.
had the real art, they had the real culture, they had
Come
the
on,
real
yeah.
love. Yeah? They had the real music,
Yeah.
and they had the real spirituality. And it was about killing, love, and spirituality, and Mother Nature. And my Bangladeshi brother here doesn't know it, but the land he comes from is a really spiritual land. But it's been all taken away from him. So he's a London version of himself. But as he grows older and he learns from his elders about the warrior culture of his culture, so in 71 when Pakistan attacked Bangladesh and they started a genocide, listen,
talking still, he's
he
cussing,
is our
man.
brother, listen carefully.
Tell him off, tell him off.
Right.
Tell him off.
We went into Bangladesh, we created a guerrilla army, and we started stop the genocide.
Yo, zoom into Raj's
Then
face,
the
please.
Indian
What?
army, which was led by Sikh warriors,
Look at his
the biggest
Raj, maybe you ain't allowed
ever
to pay attention to this.
surrender. Whoa, listen, boys.
Honour him.
The biggest surrender of the biggest
Please
land
don't
army.
listen.
Wait, the biggest land army surrender in modern history was the Pakistani army surrendered to the Indian army. Let me tell you why. The Pakistani generals, who are Punjabi warriors, spoke to the Sikh Punjabi warriors and they said, do you want a war with us warriors? And the Punjabi general said, you're our Punjabi brothers. It's going to be a massacre and a murder. And over what? Your soldiers, we're soldiers. You know what? Let's sit down. They had discussions, and the two warrior tribes said, we're all brave warriors. We're not going to kill each other.
He now supports Modi.
Listen to this. Yeah, this is why
Modi.
me and you are brothers. First 71, first Indian mutiny and Indian suppression against the colonial rule. Then 1971. Then guess what? In East London, there was a load of racism from the National Front.
Okay.
So me and my people, see me,
Come
let
on.
me tell you,
Yeah, my elders fought. I
I'm
know,
a
I know.
bad boy,
You know what,
yeah?
Uncle, you see,
'Cause
our biggest criticism, of my man is because basically
Why is it always about me?
because of them. I'm just saying.
bring it to me.
Because,
Wait,
one
listen.
minute, because
Yeah,
of National Front,
Yeah.
as black people,
Yeah, yeah.
BNP,
Yeah.
EDL,
Yeah.
you understand, and
Yeah.
what these organisations
But he
represent.
supports them.
When Tommy
Wait.
Robinson left the EDL
Yeah.
and said he's not racist anymore,
Yeah.
we as people with common sense
Yeah.
know that the crowd followed him. That racist crowd, a lot of them followed the far
he
right.
started off good. He joined the Quilliam Foundation, which
No,
is an Islamic...
that's not where he started. He started from calling Muslim pedos and that.
No, he didn't. Wait, stop.
Yes,
stop.
that's how he started.
Listen, brother, let me
He-
tell
he
wait,
sta- and he
stop.
came
right.
down to Tower
Wait,
Hamlets. I know I was
Let me
there.
quickly finish East London first.
I was
us
there, mate.
boys are locals, yeah? I grew up fighting racism because, see me,
EDL, remember EDL.
listen, I was taught by my parents to love everyone. And I grew up with white friends and black friends. My granddad, as a kid, taught me, he said, when I come to England, and he's a big man, big man, he was good mates with West Indian gentlemen. big 6'3" warrior West Indian men that were so educated and so intelligent. They'd work in factories and buses and hospitals and that during the weekdays. Weekends they'd wear their suits, they'd be smart, and they would meet each other, socialise, and they, through their power and warrior wisdom, they made it okay to go and socialise in England, whether that be in social clubs or I don't know, working men's clubs or whatever, or pubs. They would go together as a group, and the people say no, and sorry for the language, no wogs, no niggers, no packies, no Irish, no dogs, no travellers. Yeah, this was the lines, and they go as warriors because some of them worked in factories, they drink beer, and they would go to a pub. They'd go there as warriors, and they'd say, "You're not allowed in it." They said, "We want to drink." So they go outside, they have a fight, punch up on that, slap each other up. The warriors would win, and they shake hands, and then West Indian and Asian people were allowed to drink in those pubs, social places. So the first warriors, guess what, everyone, were blacks and Asians that fought racism in the early days. Junior crew, yeah? They're the real heroes were these educated West Indian men and women that fought against racism. So I grew up, my granddad said to me, these are my West Indian, well, they're like your uncles, always be respectful of this community. So I grew up being raised in respect, yeah? And I learned so much from all the cultures, you know what I'm saying? So when there was race riots after 1979, bruv, I was on it. And my uncles and that said to me, like my dad and his generation were like, be polite, don't fight. But my uncle's generation were like, we're warriors. We ain't taking none of this. So guess what? They said to people, if you want it, tell us where you want to meet us, and we'll go to town. And they used to annihilate their opponents.
But you know what's happening now, brother?
East London, listen, this
But
is
you know
one
what's
of my
happening
brothers. Listen to this. He's from East London. Let me educate him on his history. Yeah?
But you know what he wants now?
We in East London, we used to come from South East London, South West London, West London, East London, gather together, and I don't want to say it, we used to kick the shit out of the racists. Like slaughter them, yeah? You lot know about our subculture, all of you lot are West Indian, African, blah blah blah, yeah? When we got a war, we got a war, yeah? Now the Bangladeshi community was new then in East London, and they were very peaceful. So they got a lot of racism, more than the rest of them. Because Hackney, who's stupid enough to start a war in Hackney? In Tottenham, in Notting Hill, you know what I'm saying? Who's stupid enough to go to Notting Hill, yeah? So guess what? They went and picked fights with a community that were quite peaceful and sensible. You know, Brick Lane,
And to this day, the EVO still ride out to Tower Hamlets.
So check this out. So we went to Tower Hamlets, my uncle's generation first, and I went later on. And guess what? I used to remind the people there that we're here to help you as our brothers and sisters, and as a community we fought racism, and that's how we all grew up. All the clever people and the good people, yeah? We realised that mankind, kind man, that we're all one race. Now this is what you have to teach Raj.
No, but you know,
you're right.
But you know the new field.
Right.
You know the new field.
Listen. Let him land.
You don't have to remind Raj that with the West Indian brothers. Wait, listen. Listen. Right. We, as ethnic minority communities, they call it BME now, Black Minority Ethnic Communities, which covers all the backgrounds. Yeah. We got together, West Indians, Africans, Asians, and we fought suppression of racism. The sort of stuff you're seeing again now because of Brexit. Yeah? Let me tell you, I was at Grenfell Tower for 6 months, serving food every day. Every day, yeah?
I know your
Why was I there?
Have you got a son?
So, yeah.
Have you got a son?
No, I've got like fellow younger warriors.
Yeah.
So we were there every day. Every day. Now, it wasn't, there was only a couple, the majority of victims of Grenfell Tower were from the Arabic, Moroccan community, the African, Eritrean community, other African countries, some Iraqis, Iranians, mixed communities, a few Irish, maybe 1 or 2 English, Italians, Europeans, yeah? So there was a couple of Sikh families living in that area, but not in the tower, yeah? Now, because there's a Sikh temple that's been there in that area for 100 years, 100 years, yeah? Because the temple there on that site had been there 50
before I
years,
forget, let me just say
we were
one thing
sharing
now.
food. Our culture is to
land,
share
brother.
food.
I
Listen
don't
to
want
this.
land.
What Raj hasn't shared with you, we believe if you can't feed your neighbour, listen, if you can't feed your neighbour, your religion, your culture, it means nothing. Brother, listen to this. But listen,
Yeah, tell him off.
our culture believes if you can't feed your neighbour and share food, guess what? You failed in life. If we can't share food as brothers, yeah, we failed. Doesn't matter what your religion is, doesn't matter what your background is, how much money you got in your pocket. If you can't share food with your neighbours, yeah, you failed. All churches, all mosques, all Hindu temples should also have a food kitchen, because food is the first sharing, caring energy that you have.
Good food, good
because
life.
we all eat. Yeah? Now, so India, so we got a Punjabi food culture, but in England, the first restaurants, actually the first ones were Punjabis, there's only a few of them.
Nah,
the
we got that
majority
on
of
record,
restaurants,
McLean, man.
oh, they were Indian, so they belonged to everyone. But the main community that had restaurants were Bangladeshi. They shared food, obviously they got paid for it. Yeah. But Sikhs,
That's what
You
someone
had
told me.
fish. You had fish.
What are you talking about? Fried fish, ackee and saltfish, all of them.
I'm talking about the girl's fish.
Oh, that's your fish.
yeah, but
That's your fish. That's your fish. That's your fish. You are now Bengali
got
fish.
that look, bro.
You're not dealing with them
He got the
Right.
doo-doo from
Listen,
the
Nah, dealing with them thing there. What, the prettiest guy in the park, yeah? The prettiest guy in the park, yeah? Allow it.
He chased her. He chased her around. He chased her around.
Wait,
Don't
one
embarrass
minute,
yourself.
wait.
Don't embarrass
Brother,
yourself.
this is about the National Front.
Don't
I'm trying to back
embarrass
you
yourself.
up.
Don't embarrass yourself, lad.
Yo,
Don't get sidetracked,
Warrior,
man.
Junior Warrior, listen. I'm here, you're saying,
wrap it up, Uncle,
oh,
I
you
beg
need
you.
to be here. All right,
I wasn't
wrap
even
it up.
meaning to be
So
disrespectful still when I
look,
said
so we all
Nah, don't watch
united,
that.
listen.
But you know what? It's funny,
we-
innit? That's why I said
brother,
it.
Brother,
But no disrespect.
we all
We spoke
united
already,
against
innit?
racism,
Times
yeah?
TV.
Right. In Grenfell Tower, Junior boy,
imposter, yeah?
I went to Bangladeshi funerals, yeah? On Grenfell Tower in East London, yeah? In the East London Mosque, the ceremony, then the funerals in East London, yeah? Right. So, we came together because of Grenfell Tower. Grenfell Tower was a lesson that the rich abandoned the poor. The rich, and see me, I thought
But he wants
racism's
civil
gone.
war now, we
Listen. I thought racism's gone. We live in London. We got money. Wait, listen.
Yeah,
you know
but
when I
the
went
National
to,
Front evolved to something else now.
Listen,
European,
brother,
thing.
listen to me for a minute.
You call it
When I
anti-Islam.
was at Grenfell Tower, yeah, I could not believe how much racism I saw. I thought I live in London. Everybody's here. The Arabs, the Africans, the West Indians, the Chinese, yeah, and we were one family. I didn't realise there was so much hidden segregation. And in Grenfell Tower, I saw a rich elite community completely abandon the poor. Completely abandon the poor. Where was all those charities we used to raise money for? The Red Cross, Salvation Army, Samaritans. None of them were there. You know what happened? People off the streets got together and we helped each other. As a community, mixed colours, mixed backgrounds, we came together. Everybody, the Arabs,
We
the
should fight the
Bangladeshi,
Tommy Robinson.
Wait, listen, I'm trying to explain that to you, yeah?
And
So-
Tommy Robinson himself, I quote, said the reason why they died
Yeah.
is because there's too much immigration in this country. So because most of them was immigrants, most of them wasn't legal, yeah, the
No,
solution to
most
the
of them
problem-
were legal.
You know what he said?
Some of
Tommy
them
Robinson said the
were-
solution to that problem
Yeah.
is to not bring immigrants in because there's a lot of illegal people living in
So
that
guys,
place.
so look, this is an important
So that's
point.
why we're a bit
Right.
critical of people
So
that...
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So see the
It's on his
immigration.
channel.
Look, listen. This country has actually got a lot of land.
Yeah.
This country's got a lot of land. Yeah. Now what's happened is the elite stop building social housing, council flats. Stop building it, so there'll be a shortage of housing. Yeah. Now there's loads of money available if you're a rich millionaire Arab, or you're rich Malaysian, or rich Chinese. You can buy 100 flats in central London like that. There's loads of empty townhouses.
Loads of London now.
Yeah.
Loads of
So
London.
this area, a lot of rich Arabs got loads of flats, yeah, because they've got loads of money from oil money, yeah. So
what
this
some
is
people
not
don't
about colour. It's about rich versus poor. You lot have to share. Yo, Junior boy, I don't know your name. You have to share with Raj This is about the elites suppressing the poor.
Yeah,
About
but
the rich
you know
versus
this
the
guy.
poor.
Look
Now-
what he just said.
Now,
Look
because
what
he
just
doesn't
said.
know
on the,
this,
on the camera, he just
but
went,
listen,
no.
you've got to share knowledge.
He's
So-
a
all
fully
listen, one
worshipper
minute.
of
Listen,
Tommy Robinson.
So listen, wait,
Fully, full-time, certified.
He's
about Tommy more than a
He's
guru.
been distracted. You know, like you come here first, being all aggressive and
Nah,
that,
bro,
yeah?
I'm just
and
a
then when I
troll.
said to you, warrior brother, then you realise, guess what, we're
Don't
warrior
worry.
brothers. Then you started listening. My man here knows a lot of history here. This brother here knows a lot of
But he
history.
mixes his
Where's the
history.
African warrior? This brother here, look, you lot got to first share your common history of how you, as natives of Africa and India and Asia, were suppressed and
That's good,
enslaved.
that's good.
That's the first discussion.
But he supports them. He supports them.
Tell Rod,
Don't
tell
worry
him,
about
tell him,
religion.
tell him
Tell him
that.
that.
The lion, tell him
Yeah,
that.
tell him that. Tell him that. Tell the pigeon.
Tell him the
Tell the
pigeon.
pigeon. Tell the pigeon.
Come on.
He needs to hear this, you know.
That's right.
Everyone
The
told
first
him.
discussion
Everyone
here
told
That's
him.
right.
should be about how the elites in this modern world, how the elites
And
over
the sidekick
time
cameraman.
wiped out. Listen to this now.
Dickhead.
Canada. Listen. Yo.
Sideman,
Wait,
sideman.
brother. Wait. No, listen.
Sideman.
Bro, listen, wait.
You don't know him. You don't know him.
Sideman, man. He pops up in the comments here. We
Right,
support
right.
Raj.
Executed guru
So,
tendencies.
Canada,
He's showing
Canada
back.
was not.
He's
Listen,
doing the thing,
oi,
doing the thing,
listen,
idiots.
Canada,
Listen,
Real
behave.
CG in the place.
Oi, listen.
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
lion.
yeah. Uncle,
Listen,
go on.
Canada,
Yeah.
the second largest country in the world, was not a white man's country. Amen. It didn't belong to the Queen. The people were murdered. 100 million people got murdered in America and Canada, and they got cleaned out. And
Genocide.
luckily,
And
then
Australia.
people went into the mountain areas and they survived. They are being blessed to sit with Native Canadians, Native American tribes. Yeah? And you know what? I'm so blessed because then it opened up my knowledge to go and visit Native African tribes. Yeah? There were so many nations, so they cleared out Canada and America, they cleared out South America, they full scale Portugal, what the other countries? Portugal, Spain. What the other ones? What the languages? Spain.
Australia.
They wiped parts of South
native.
America clean.
Yeah.
Pele
New Zealand.
isn't a native of South America. He's an African origin. Greatest footballer in the world. He got taken in a ship. He got stolen from Africa and shipped to South America.
Tell
See, look,
them.
once they slaughtered the people in America,
But you know when we
Canada,
talk about this, when we
and
talk
South
about
America,
this, Raj's people say we got a victim mentality. Anytime we
no,
talk
no,
about
you're
this,
right.
they
So
say we got a
listen to
victim
this.
mentality.
Once they
That's what
finish,
Raj's people
once
say.
they
Anytime we
finish
show these
murdering,
stories,
wait,
Raj's
listen,
people say we got a victim mentality.
listen. Wait. Once they finish murdering those continents, they stole. Listen to this.
He's not listening.
They
He's not
stole
listening. Look, he's not
people
listening.
from Africa. Stole them, not 10 or 20.
He's not listening. He's
Millions
talking
of
to
people, they stole them. And you know the ones that were left that didn't want to be stolen? Guess what? They started murdering them. And Africa saw one of the biggest genocides on this universe. You know, everybody talks about 6 million Jews, and that's not nice.
I would agree
But
with
what
that.
about 100 million in North America? 100 million in South America? What about the 100 million in Africa? What about the 50 million that was stolen? Stolen.
And we ain't even got to India yet. We ain't even got to India yet.
You know what I'm saying?
We ain't even got
What
to
about-
India yet.
wait,
You're lying. Come on. Come on. He's lying. Shut up. Shut up, man.
Real sick.
Inside comments. Did you see inside comments?
Right, you lot.
Did you see inside comments? That's dedicated to put Tommy Robinson inside comments.
Wait.
Inside comments.
Listen, boys, listen. Can I say something?
Inside comments are dedicated to Tommy Robinson.
Yo.
Diversion.
You lot,
Diversion
listen,
from the British.
Tommy ain't here.
Diversion.
Listen, can I say something to you? We as warriors are having a discussion.
Sorry.
Tommy ain't here.
What are you up with?
We talk about our culture and not somebody else's. Why do you lot wait?
So what? You're
Why do you lot wait? Why do you lot?
Don't
Why do you lot always make it about somebody else? Can you not
He's
talk
doing
about
side
your
comments, man.
culture,
Do you listen?
your history?
Come on, tell him.
What about your history that never
I
got
listen,
written
listen,
down?
side comments,
That
man.
your grandmother learned from her grandmother and she taught you? Why can't you share your history? Yeah? Why can't you talk about the real history of England, the Druids and the pagans that got suppressed, the natives of England? Why can't you talk about African history? and West Indians. You know West Indians? Why do people not talk about what happened in the West Indies? Yeah? Why can't we talk about real history and the 350, maybe 500 million genocide instead of the little genocide? Why can't we talk about the big one?
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
As a whole, they
on.
done genocide in every single country.
Let's talk about real history of the world.
You're lying.
Wait, stop.
Ahmed Rashid already debunked you.
This is a liar, brother.
Let me share
Ahmed
something.
Rashid debunked you.
Yo, listen.
You're a liar. Tommy Robinson, is your dad, bro. Tommy Robinson, your dad, bro. Shut up, man.
Listen, shall I go home?
Ahmed Rashid already debunked them.
Stop it, man. Stop it, man.
Listen, no, I gave
Let
you
him tell the
respect.
story.
I gave you respect.
Don't let them talk, blood.
Listen,
Let him tell the story.
you lot.
You're spoiling the
Boys,
conversation, man.
listen
Let my
to me.
man
No spoiling it. Why you in front of the
Listen,
camera? You're blocking the camera. You're
man.
spoiling it,
I'm
man.
telling you.
Let my man talk.
Let him talk then.
Brother, I'm sharing with you.
Bamba clutch.
I'm sharing with you your history that you don't know, that you haven't been taught, you weren't allowed to learn because they wanted you to live in a box and be suppressed. They made you live in a box. Why is it one box in Africa and India is worth 10 grand or 5 grand and another box in central London is worth 25 million? It's still a box. Buddha writes it's a golden cage, it's suppression. You got to learn your history, your real history is massive.
People were massacred.
But no,
150 million
wait.
dead.
You got to learn your history, then you'll realise how we are a group of people that got forced to come here because our lands got raped, our people got murdered. We got forced to come here. You know what I'm saying? You know, my people used to live in a country, listen to this, if you want to know where the British learned about the social welfare system, they came to a country called India, yeah, and the Indians said, come, you're welcome, because you want to be nice to everyone, innit? Share culture, share art, share food, same as Africa, yeah? We're a sharing culture, yeah? And we said welcome, and they came, right? And they arrived. And then guess what, yeah? They went to China as well. The Chinese said, we've got a war here, we've got an army, we're not coming in. So those people took heroin from Afghanistan, they flooded China with 100 years of opium and drugs to mess China up. And in India, they had all these kingdoms, and guess what? They took them all over. They come to Punjab, yeah? And they didn't go no further. 10,000 British Indian army, sponsored by the Rothschilds, came to Punjab and they got wiped out by 1,000 warriors in one day. So they didn't come back for 50 years. And 50 years later, they took the rich elite, they bribed certain people in our government, yeah? They waited for the king to die, they poisoned his first son, murdered his second son, and they kidnapped a 6-year-old kid, brought him to London, made him into a Christian, and they took over and stole all the wealth. And in Punjab, when they arrived, they said, there's nobody starving, everybody shares food, everyone eats food, everybody's literate, they speak either Punjabi or Urdu or Hindi, and they share cultures, and it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, if you don't believe in a religion, if you don't believe in Hinduism, everybody calls everyone uncle, everyone calls everyone brother. You know, in our subculture, we say, yo brother.
Aja.
We're warrior brothers. Yeah? That's our culture. So we are from a native culture of love and sharing and kindness and learning, and we've been forced into a foreign culture of greed and elite suppressing the poor. This is the discussions you lot should be having here. You get it? We're discussing about elite.
Yo, how do you say listen in Punjab?
So,
Whatever it is, it ain't going to work.
Aja sun beta,
so when they were in India, there was a big revolt, and guess what? It started off. No, Junior. It started off the revolt, the first mutiny. Under the British. So the original battle was when they come to Punjab in 1805. They didn't go further. So what is now called...
Define it properly as East India Rothschilds.
Yeah,
Rothschilds. British are nice
It
people.
wasn't the British. He's
Rothschild,
an
East
export
India
industry. An East India Company
use the British like they do
Use the British,
fighting their
like
wars
they do.
now in Iraq.
And they come in, conquered India. So the East India and the West India companies' job was to rape Africa, West Indies. East India companies was to rape Asia, India and China. They went in there wholesale and took everything. So London is a copy of Punjab that had free food, free welfare, free education, and everybody was one. The Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims. We didn't believe in labels, we believed in humanity. So if there were, so in South India, the people, they look like the black people, dark skin, the whole shamanic culture. So in our culture, it doesn't matter what colour you are, how tall or short you are, we all share food. Come on, that's got to be everybody's culture, isn't it? We sit and eat together and we communicate in love. That's what Grenfell was, a reminder of our history. So we come together as different communities and we help each other. This is the discussion you lot should be having. You're 2 miles from Grenfell Tower. Why isn't that the number one subject?
Because people come here for an ego boost. Because they can't win an argument against their wife.
Yes.
So like come here, quickly win an argument and they go, I'm running now.
See that?
Quick ego boost.
But we had it
Go home
different,
satisfied.
sorry.
Oh, like Ahmed Ali.
We had it different a long time ago. Very poor, and they living in the rock, in the red, near the Sahara and desert, very poor. And you have very, very rich.
Right, so look, guys, we've got to go, yeah? I apologise. We'll come back another time. Raj,
We're trying to wrap up for ages.
he's our junior brother, yeah?
Can we just clarify one thing though, because there's a narrative that I represent. Look, I'm not a good Sikh, so people don't understand the concept of a Sikh. Yeah,
He's not a
I'm not a
baptised Sikh.
baptized Sikh. I'm still on my own journey. I'm still on my own journey, and I'm a junior in terms of Sikhism.
He's learning, yeah?
Very, very
Learning.
junior. I mean, I'm
Learning
so
about
artist
life.
and yeah, absolutely right. I'm very, 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 very.
You're a good artist, I'll give you that.
So the thing is that these guys are here.
You're not
that
good,
if you want to talk about theology, these are the guys. If they want to come back and talk to you,
So we're good on theology. So
I'm
if
not
anyone
that
wants a
person.
discussion on theology,
Next week. We see they coming down next week.
but
I'm not
we'll
coming next week.
try, what's next week?
I'm not coming next week.
Oh, you're not?
I'm going to take time off.
I will try. What it is, we got a farm, yeah? So we grow our
Yeah,
own
but I don't want to
food,
come every week.
because food's important. So rather than buying it off Tesco's or Marks and Spencer's, yeah, whatever, if you learn to grow your own food,
Uncle, you gotta go, you
you
gotta
eat
go.
Mother Nature, it gives you energy and
he's a vegan,
spirituality. Yeah? So if you look at your culture, we've got trees for eating free fruit, apples and pears and banana. Fruit is free. Why do you want to pay for it? When you can grow it? So anyway, look, we're going to go. We'll try and come back again. It's Mr. Singh.
Yeah, can I
Sing,
just
brother.
Yeah, so can I just say something? I'm not going to be coming every week anymore. I'm going to be coming maybe once or twice a month. Because I've got a lot of things going on.
Safe, brother. He's Bangladeshi brother. He's now realised we have a mutual history in India of where we as warriors used to go regularly. First we fought in the early days, 1900s onwards, then in 71, then in 78, then National Front. You know what I'm saying? We've got more in common than separate.
No, man, you trying to know everything. That's a wrap.
Yeah. He supports a
Stop talking about me,
organization
all
that
day,
wants
son. I
to
didn't
people
really go
country.
all day.
That's the organization.
Cover that next time, yeah? Anyway, later on.
He supports the organization that wants
What I'm saying is that I know, but what I'm saying is
Either have cannabis, which is healthy for you, Mother Nature,
certain individuals
don't have tobacco,
just saw cockroaches, low IQ. There's no point
vape, or have cannabis.
Now what it is, I'm not coming to speak to you.
Alright, so listen, anyway, we've got to
finished, you know,
go.
boss.
Thank you very much, yeah? All the best.
Cut the mic out.
Give him 1 or 2 lessons.
Hey, you doing your show, you know.
Record Brad, let him have his walk
Damn,
away.
man,
Let him have his walk away. You know the sad ending when someone walks away, the loser walk.
Finished, fam.
Yeah, the
Turn
L
the
walk.
cameras off, fam. Turn up the
Shit, you could have done that, man.
We no longer be trying to wrap up, fam. The live stream's still going.
Oh, that live stream. What
They say I'm dating, man. You know they just diss each other in the live stream, fam. I got bare dumb I know they can air man now.
Bear down comments and that, yeah?
The intelligent people don't comment that much, so it's just the dance breeds that comment most of the time.
But these people are not intelligent like Raj. The other guy was, Mr. Singh was intelligent, but Raj is not intelligent. You get me? So obviously, no IQ ones need no IQ trolls. You get me? Got trolls on the case, isn't it?
We're getting reviewed
Trolls on trolls case.
outside in every temple.
All my intelligent commenters need to start commenting more often, man. And say something to inspire the dance breeds out here, man. Talking bare trash in the comment section.
Big up DVLA comments, man.
Certified dance
Big up
breeds.
DVLA insurance.
Peace to the intelligent
Get me
people.
some cheap insurance, fam.
He said DVLA.
Yeah, DVLA insurance. Give me some cheap insurance, man. Yeah, HSB, big up. What's that supposed to be HSB? It's the X, done though.
Fuck them niggas.
Yeah?
Fuck them guys, man.
Do the loser with two Raj. You gotta record it, man. Slide it, man. Slide it. Look at that pigeon. Look at that pigeon, man. All blacked out. Thinking some warrior class. And the pudding. Hey, Raj. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Go home and do your job.
Bye-bye.
Go home and do your job very soon.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Raj. Bye-bye.
You have to listen to what man was saying, though.
Hey, this one's for you, Raj. Hey, Pat, do something to you, bro. Don't throw Raj. Huh? Hey, Raj, iron your clothes, man. It's bare wrinkly. And tell your sideman cameraman to get out of here.
Simon was in a hat team today. He was in a hat team today.
Hey, man.
Fuck out here. Sideman.
Take your mask off, you ugly prick.
Sideman.
Take that shit off, man. Let me get shit in your face.
Record it.
He was on a hat team today.
Moving the camera. Don't let him touch his camera, but come on, man. Leon.
As long as you don't fuck up, it's cool, man. You can move it if you want. As long as you don't fuck you up.
Don't touch any camera.
Don't troll him though, don't troll him though. Like, it's gonna be a war, it's gonna be a war. We don't want a war with a camera.
Fuck you, sideman cameraman. Is that you, Simon? Fuck
Stop
you.
hiding yourself, bro. You ain't that ugly, mate. Show your face, man.
Deacon.
Get a tan on your face.
Sideman.
Man's covering his breath as well.
Sideman. Get out of here.
Speaker's Corner, ladies and gentlemen. It's the greatest. Get the greatest minds. Come down to Speaker's Corner. Talk all of that shit. Yeah, we out, man. Peace. Peace to the intelligent people. Fire up into the dance breeds. We out.